guests on the dais and friends. First of all, I'm not from the industry. I have been climbing and trekking on my own. I'm from that old school, who used to do everything on their own. But I'm sure with changing times and needs, people have less time, and industry of trekking has a very major role to play. So I'm glad that people are here and considering this. Maharashtra and Sahyadri, as Mrs. Gadre pointed out, has got a large amount of trekking and adventure possibilities. And whenever I'm asked, how did you start your mountaineering career? The only simple answer is in the Western Ghats and the Sahyadris. So this is the playground where we have gone. And mountaineering has come in a long way. It's a long different history, starting from Alps and coming to Himalaya. And there was a trend to do higher peaks, and now it is shifted to smaller peaks and technically difficult peaks. So quite possibly, if there are new areas visited and new mountains climbed, the industry will do a great service to Himalaya, because that will reduce pressure on few high peaks, and people would be more interested. It will be kind of a new market for people to see. So what I would present is a brief history of how things have progressed and what could be the future as far as mountaineering and mountain travel is concerned. So this is the pictures of how it all started. The first expedition to Matterhorn in the Alps, and while they climbed Matterhorn, considering it a very different types of thing, and there was a major tragedy. In fact, the first ascent itself, people fell down, and that was a rope which broke and killed quite a few people. And so it is there is an inherent danger in nature. It's a kind of what they say, calculated risk. So whenever you are taking people, that has to be remembered. And there were many trekkers, explorers to start with, and the Chinese travelers, they came to India, and there were several things like Hannibal crossing the Alps with elephant. And so it's a slow beginning, but very sure. Then came serious climbing, like this Eiger. So the face of Eiger has attracted many climbers, and over the years, a lot of people have climbed. And as a result, it's a very major achievement, still very difficult after even so many years. Then, first major expedition came to the Himalaya. First 8,000 meter peak climb, 26,000 feet plus, led by Maurice Herzog. And they followed this route, the Sickle Cliff and all. It's a very, very major expedition already in a part of the climbing history and a folklore. And that changed ultimately to climb by the difficult route, Everest or the Annapurna, the hard way up. That was the first started by Chris Bonington, that though there is an easy route available, you go by a difficult route. And this difficult route, direct Sima, is always more challenging and more difficult. But then that also, with the stroke, it developed. And then came the highest of mountains, like ultimately reaching to Everest. And Everest, though, is climbed in 1953 by one of the normal routes by Hillary and Tenzing, as we know. But there was a direct southwest face route that was a challenge. And all these things in Nepal are definitely organized by industry as such, trekkers, trekking and climbing racing. There are rules, regulations which are followed. There are safety standards followed, and a lot of regulations for Sherpas and other things. So this, even the highest of mountain and Everest, is now climbed through an industry and through various organizations. So possibly that also among the Indian mountains can be emulated, and then the future of industry and trekkers will be very bright. This is the summit of Everest, which is going up by Doug Scott, as you see here. And along with this, he had his young son also reaching the base camp. There are various exploration stories from India itself. This is a group of sadhus who went from Gangotri across Kalindi Khal to Badrinath with a minimum of equipment, and that was in 1930s. And in fact, they were so quiet about it that they never publicized until one of the German expeditions met them, and they decided to publish their story. And because it was quite an historic thing, they went with grass chappals and with a minimum of equipment and minimum of food. So that was the kind of a beginning of trekking and exploration in India. The Shivling, which has been climbed by 2-3 different routes by foreigners, Indians, and this remains still a very major attractive challenge. And opposite Shivling is Sudarshan Parbat, which was climbed by the Indian-British expedition. You could see the route going up. And these sort of climbs are also very, very useful to be organized, and people can go. And this will definitely expand the scope of adventure, the scope of organizing adventure. Recently, Arva Spire, about 10 years before it was discovered and found, and several British expeditions particularly have gone there and made ascents of these Arva towers. There are several peaks like this which can be supported, and there are several areas like Kedarnath area where it's one of the finest thing to be seen. So, and then peaks which are possible but challenging, difficult, and a good short climb available within people's history and people's travel time is like this Shering Way, which was climbed by the ridge you see on the right side. This was first climbed in 79, and then came one of the leading travel agent or trekking agent from Scotland, Martin Moran, and he led an expedition to this, and making it that even a commercial expedition can climb safely some of the highest and difficult peaks, just as it's been climbed much before. So this is a kind of a challenge which can be accepted if by the industry, then it will definitely be very helpful. There are Panchachuli groups, which is a group of 5 peaks, and this was climbed in 92. And there are various phases, various routes by which this Panchachuli group can be climbed. And it has been a different thing where we is standing on peak called Rajramba and Panchachuli on the right side, and it was climbed by 2 different routes, one in the central rib and one on the right side. And there is plenty of challenge here for organizing as well as climbing, and it would be wonderful to see that. One of the routes that was followed on Panchachuli during the icefall, and while Sir Chris Bonington climbed it, the entire wall below him collapsed. So we said, would you still like to follow this? And in his typical British style, he said, oh, if I were you, I would not follow this. And so nobody can be Bonington. So we decided to go the other way, which I am pointing out from behind. And in the area, there are several smaller peaks, because what has happened is because of cheap airfares and everything, people have been able to come and with a short time can do a lot more. And originally, people have to take long holidays and come and climb. Now that is not possible because of time commitment. But then quicker and everything, and organized by an agency or agent would make it cut through government red tape, cut through everything, organizing very quickly. And there are high peaks also available. Milam Glacier and Hardeval is only up to now 1 ascent, and there is Tirsuli. And there are very, very challenging peaks which would attract, foreign clients, foreign climbers, which can be opened. So this is now peak called Kagbhushan. It's a small peak, 5,800 meters, small by the Himalayan standards. And it has also a good long history. And so if this history knowledge is passed on to your clients, so the people who take them, climb them, it would make a more interesting climb for them. After climbing Kamet in 1931, Shipton, Frank Smythe, they all passed through this. They are the guys who would not go back even after a big climb. And this peak was attempted by Shipton with one Sherpa, reaching very near to the summit when Sherpa got exhausted or who could not manage technically climbing more. So Shipton came down, and next day this indefatigable chap, he picked up another Sherpa, more technically qualified, and went and climbed the peak again. So after climbing Kamet, he had made 2 major ascents of this peak. And there are smaller areas, easier areas where, I'm sure a lot of beginners and can go and within a short time frame. And this is the Sundarnunga Valley and peaks of the higher Sundarnunga with Tharkot being the highest. And these are also very, very nice and easily to be organized. And still easier would be Kalanag, or the Black Serpent, which goes up very easily. And this could be a very massively organized for children, for students and everybody. And this could be a very good thing to do. And the whole Arkedun Valley down below is very beautiful, very nice. And this sort of a trekking and combining with climbing could be also a good idea. There are areas which has not been much explored. This is the Kagbhushandi Valley next to Valley of Flowers, or in the Garhwal. And there are peaks and these foreign climbers organized through a foreign agent. Maybe in support of the local agents, they come here, and some of these peaks have been climbed, and quite possibly this could be taken up by the Indians. There is a area called Obragad. These are all both peaks of around 5,600 meters, but very attractive, and they would form a good climbing. For rock climbers, in the same valley, Obragad, there is what we call Jairai rocks. It's a very sheer granite and a wonderful places to go. And we have spent some wonderful time just roaming around here. But these are the places which can be very easily organized. And from summit of Churdhar, you see the entire range of Kulu, which is also very nice and easy. Now, the Indian mountaineering, when the British left, it was presumed that Indians may not continue climbing because it was more of a British sport. But it was the first expedition in 1951, organized to Trishul by Doon School teachers, that almost started the sport of mountaineering in India. And reaching on the summit, he did a kind of a Vrukshasana. On the summit is 23,000 feet. And not to be outdone, Gurdial Singh went into Shirsasana. So this was with a little yoga poses as a symbol. Indian mountaineering kicked off from 1951. And since we have never looked back. There is a route to Nanda Devi Sanctuary, a magnificent route, unfortunately closed now, but I'm sure it will open someday because entire generations, 1 or 2 generations have grown up without visiting Nanda Devi Sanctuary, and it's unfair. So the government should consider opening this, and it would relate to a lot of things. And these are sort of walls that you have to cross, and this is known as the Vaikunth Gali or the Ram Gali because it's a very, very narrow route going up. And with the rucksack, if you bang against the wall on the other side, you will fall down. And if you climb this, you will go to the heaven of Nanda Devi. And if you fall, you will go to the real heaven. And the ultimate challenge, according to me, is this rock face, west face of Nanda Devi, seen from the base. And if Nanda Devi is open, then this rock face, I'm sure, would be a very, very attractive and challenging proposition for many people and many climbers. And it's the beauty of Nanda Devi with the connecting ridge traverse between the two, and Northern Sanctuary, which has several unclimbed peaks everywhere. Turning to the northeast, it's completely unknown area, completely not visited area, and there is a lot of scope of organizing or trekking or climbing here. Like, you go up to this village called Lada village, which is about 2 days of stiff climbing. And from there, village itself, you see a great views of Chomo peaks, which are both around 6,800 meters. And even to look at it or to climb it is a very wonderful feeling. And Naigi Kangsang, which has been attempted only once, and with ice floatings, and it's a super challenge for people to go. And the highest peak east of Bhutan is Kangto, 7,000 meters plus. And it has been climbed by the Japanese coming from the north. But from the Indian side, if a good organization can take this, it will be very nice. And we have this entire Sangpo river for its exploration. This is a pure and simple trekking, which you can go. And that's Brahmaputra or Sangpo enters India from the right-hand side valley and takes a big turn and goes down to Assam as a major river. With this, if agents can introduce people for various techniques and methods of map reading or other camp crafts or other rock climbing crafts, rope work, then it would make also a very interesting side activity for everybody. Menthosa in Lahul has also been a good challenging peak, and in the area there is Shiva, which was also again climbed by a major international travel agent going up by this right-hand side foes, and that face has also remained a very excellent climbing. There are several mountaineers who have come from abroad and climbed here, like Chris Bonington. He has been at least to India about 10 times. And every time a local agent, Indian agent was used. And it saved a lot of efforts, lots of energy to deal with government papers and everything. And it turned out to be a very win-win situation for both the sides. And in Chamba, that is in the lower Dhauladhar range, we have Chamba Kailash. And on the Spiti side, we have Gya and Shila. It has got a long history that it was considered to be climbed in 1872 as one of the highest peak, and then later on turned out the height was much lower than they estimated. And the Gya peak also has got a long history, and the northwest face still remains. There are many small peaks. This area, this view is just about 6 hours of drive from Manali, a very popular sound. And from there, opposite, you see the Kulti Valley, which has got several peaks, some challenging and some good. And In the area, we have Akshu, Kokshane. These are all small valleys which you can be easily organized. But then, if they are well supported, this would become a very major climbing area for the future. On the top of Dhauladhar, Triund or Dharamshala, where Dalai Lama stays, within about a day, there is several peaks like this which can be attempted. And in earlier days, in 1930s, these were very popular peaks with the British officers. But unfortunately, later in the pursuit of the higher peaks, these have been lost. So they can be possibly revived. And these are all the peaks in the Dhauladhar area, like Dhauladhar, Matterhorn, Mon Peak. It's in 1930s British literature, they have a very prominent place, and it could be very good to revive. There are excellent places for trekking, like this Ringdom Monastery. From here starts several treks going towards Ladakh, Kargil and all areas. And near Ringdom Monastery, there are many, many small valleys where you can almost shift your base camp for bike road, because this from the road you look at all these valleys, and there's Chulung Valley with a lot of climbing possibility. Or at the end of this whole valley is the Durung Durung Glacier, one of the longest glaciers in the Trans-Himalaya, which goes all along. And there is a Durung Peak, which was known as a Doda Peak, 6,800 meters, climbed by the Japanese. And if you do all these things, if you able to organize this, then you will be dancing on the summits, and it will be good. Thank you. I hope this idea inspires.